Altar girls.
Hitting all the big topics for
all the big ones.
The little Canadian priest is saying, "Why me?"
We had to bring him across the border to do this.
Wow. Wow. Well, I stand on this position, and it's a hill I'm willing to take a sword on or a knife for, because I am a firm believer that boys are different than girls. Whoa. Wow. And I'm very sorry to shock any of you who have perhaps held a contrary opinion, but my theory is that the adolescent boy, and if there's an adolescent boy in the crowd, I do not mean to offend you in any way, but I know myself, so I only speak for myself. The adolescent boy is a profoundly selfish little creature. He's selfish because he doesn't want to be exposed to a lot of commentary, and he just doesn't want to get into a lot of things. He's quite happy doing his own thing with his friends and his buddies, but he's just not into the whole look at me kind of project. Now, the little girl, the adolescent girl, is a much different creation. She is, if she sees an opportunity to do something, she's there. And if there's a question of organizing and networking, bang, she's there. And if there's a missed occasion of something not being done, she knows exactly what it is. So she goes right into it, full blast. Now, you put little boys and little girls in that atmosphere in a sacristy, okay? And I work with altar boys. I don't have altar girls, but I know altar boys don't see everything the first time, and it takes a while. So if a little boy thinks to himself, you know what, she knows that system pretty good, I think I'll let her do it. Eventually, you're going to lose your boys. Your boys are just going to boys don't organize and network and say, we got to start a campaign and say, we want in, we want. No, they're not going to do it. They just won't show up. They just won't go. They'll just say, no, not interested. And so they begin to recede, and then you become, what you have is a very feminized atmosphere. You have women reading, you have women giving Holy Communion, you have women as altar servers. Now, some would say, are you misogynist, Father? No, I'm not misogynist. In fact, I'm profoundly worried that men are losing their appetite for religion. I am profoundly worried by that. And every one of us should be equally concerned. They do not seem to have lost their appetite in Islam, but our men seem to have found religion in sports and religion in war, but they don't seem to find a compelling argument within Christianity. Now, what are we doing wrong in that regard? There was a quote that I read, and I can barely footnote it, but it's there in my memory. I remember the comment made by Cardinal Heenan when he saw the beginnings of the Reform as it stood at that point, and he said to the crowd around him at that particular time, you will have no problem getting young women to come to this, but you will have a tough time getting the men to come. And this is a real problem that we have not really spoken out loud about, because we're afraid, and we have like this, how would you say, the white man's guilt of sounding misogynist, and we don't want to say these things out loud. But I'm not afraid to say it out loud, because I think that our great crisis in all of this is the loss of men. And that has been going on not since 1964. That has been going on for a very long time. Some even take it back into the 11th century. And some even argue that that was some of the reasons motivating the Crusades, to motivate men to take their responsibilities seriously and defend the house of the Lord. So whatever we can do to motivate men to be men of God in the house of the Lord, we must do it. So if we start early with young boys and we teach them, and in fact the extraordinary form is incredibly complicated, and they have this powerful sense of achievement after having learned to serve the extraordinary form because of all the rubrics and all the movement and all the gesture. Boy, it builds camaraderie and dedication and loyalty. And who's going to argue with that? Feminists will. But we must not concede on that point, because we know in our heart of hearts, true women want true men of God. If you get a man in love with God, you get an amazing man. And that's all we have to say about that.